It is 6:31. I'll call to order this Winooski City Council retreat. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Deputy Mayor Winooski.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Agenda review. Anything on the agenda that anyone would like to change, move, or discuss? All right. No. All right. In that case, we will move on to public. What?
Did you have a comment? Sorry.
No, I was just anticipating.
Now I'm all lost here, Brent. There we go. We'll move on to public comment. This is a time for folks to make public comment on something that is not included in tonight's agenda. If you'd like to speak about anything on the agenda, I will just ask you to wait until that moment. Let's see. Do we have anybody online? Members of the public or staff, so I'm going to assume y'all are going to wait. All right, we will move on from public comment to our regular items. First item is discussion approval fiscal year 2026 review and fiscal year 2027 work plan overview. Elaine, did you want to take charge on this first
I
item?
shall, yes.
Yeah.
Happy to do that. Yeah, so I'm mostly reading from my cover sheet, just heads up. So the council retreat is where the city council sets policy priorities and strategies for the city. In previous years, the retreat has occurred in late May or early June. That is a couple months into the new council year and just before the new fiscal year. As a side note, we're rather early this year because I was aiming for 100% attendance by the leadership team, which we are able to get except for a health issue. This may not have been necessarily been critical, so just thinking ahead of scheduling in the future. Now, the city budget dictates the resources that are available for the work in the new fiscal year, and that budget is reviewed by the previous city council in the previous year and of course set by voters in March. So the timing is a little bit interesting. And for many years, this has habitually resulted in more work added during the policy priorities and strategies retreat than staff has capacity to complete. So this year, just about every department has finally reached a tipping point where they cannot absorb anymore. For context, you can see the fiscal year 2027 operational work plans document that was in the posted packet. It shows ongoing responsibilities as well as fiscal year 2027 project work. And note that operations are under the city manager's purview rather than city council's, so those are provided as just information to council, and we won't be going over them during this meeting. It's a lot to absorb anyway, so didn't seem useful to present it. We have not found a great way to present it in the past that was easily absorbable, so we're just presenting it in the packet. This year's retreat, therefore, by design, limits council's ability to add work to fiscal year 2027. Instead, staff will briefly comment on how fiscal year 2026 council policy priorities and strategies went. That is success and challenge factors. More detail on each item can be found on the latest goal updates as linked in the cover sheet, and you have a couple coming up at the next meeting next week. We'll then review fiscal year 2027 staff policy priorities and strategies, which are the items staff propose to report out to council on quarterly, the way we have in the past on the council policy priorities. These reflect what have been resourced in the fiscal year 2027 budget and are in line with city plans. So we will be asked, there is a decision point in here, we'll be asking council to approve this list as the reporting list. If you want to see less or more for us to report on from our operational work plan, feel free to discuss that and add that. Any questions about what we're covering today under this agenda item? And thank you all for making time to meet with me ahead of time so that we could try to address those questions beforehand. So as we review fiscal year 2026 and 2027, we'll go in order of lead department. as in those who are listed in the fiscal year 2026 document first in the departments involved column. I'm going to share my screen so that we can have that as a reference. It'll probably be a little bit small to look at, but it will give us some reference once I find where my share button is. Boy, that's really small. Is there any way to make that bigger? Paul or Stephen?
That's a good question. I try maximizing the PDF screen. I've never seen it look like that.
I don't even know if it's worth it.
It might be because we're in a place, I know, if you download the PDF or share it, like if you open it in Acrobat and then.
Right.
Maybe. It'll be on recording.
That's true.
Paul,
Okay,
does
just leave it
the
up.
magnifying glass in the lower right corner do anything?
Probably zoom into the window itself. Yep, there you go. So it's a, probably use it.
That'll have to do. All right. And back to my notes here. All right, so, and please feel free to ask questions as we go. I know we did some of these quite recently, so you might not have any, which is fine. We can zip through this portion of the agenda. So starting with me, modest progress was made against cross-cutting 1, cross-cutting 2, cross-cutting 4, 6, and 8, because those relied on existing staff. And these are important priorities for the community, and staff plan to continue them, and you'll see those in the fiscal year 2027 policy priorities and strategies list. The two economic vitality items, these two green ones here, made more progress thanks to additional resources and external partners. Safe, Healthy, Connected People 10 did not take place because we didn't have the staff capacity to do that. And it was a maybe item, so we took that into account in not prioritizing that. And then for fiscal year 2027, I haven't added anything where I'm the lead on. And that's all for my presentation, then I'll turn it over to the next department. Before I do, are there any questions about those? All right, Rebby, you want to come up? Just as you're taking a bite first. Oh, you want to come up? Here.
Oh, right. So, starting on this list.
Oh, sorry, I'll go back to that for 26.
Oh, right. Okay, so I believe mine are cross-cutting 3 with a comprehensive plan update. And then housing with unified land use development regulation updates. Let's see, and then guess coordination and assistance with other housing goals as needed. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any other goals on here that are specifically
No,
mine.
those are the two that
Those are the
you're
two
building
main
on, yeah.
ones. Okay. With the comp plan update, that one's going a little slower than anticipated. I wanted to start public engagement sooner, but that's been delayed because I've had to take on other tasks with the UL UDR updates. So with the housing aspect of it, with the UL UDR updates, we were doing the building typologies project with the consultant, and we've had to do a couple other major updates as I think you're aware of with the UL UDRs that are going through the amendment process as we speak. So next week, I think that'll be UL UDR heavy with a public hearing and another introduction of amendments. Moving towards, do you want me to shift towards
Oh, yeah.
27? Okay. So shifting towards 27 with the comp plan update, we have a good foundation so far. I have requested a data update from CCRPC during FY26. That's been completed. So we have all of our data is updated for going to next year. I'll be coordinating with Public Works about the transportation elements. We've had some back and forth already, and we have some direction on that. So with the next steps with the comp plan is public engagement and then reviewing our master plan and turning that into the comprehensive plan that is more reflective of the community today. First public engagement is expected to happen later this month. You'll hear more about it probably later this week, early next week from us. And then there will be one public engagement event throughout the summer for every month on different elements of the master plan pillars. So this month will be focused on land use, and then proceeding from that, safe, healthy, connected, transportation, included into municipal infrastructure, and what is the other one? Economic vitality. Housing sections being covered through the equitable housing needs assessment, as there is robust public engagement happening for that. So we're going to collaborate and cross-pollinate with that project. With UL UDR updates, I'm hoping most of it will wrap up with FY26, but there is carryover from the building typologies into FY27. So those updates will happen throughout in stages as the Planning Commission discusses how they want to incorporate the building typologies project. I foresee more updates with the UL UDR on the technical aspects of it. Questions have been raised about the duration of permits and the enforcement of permits, along with certain definitions that just don't have any basis or foundation in the UL UDRs, but are referenced in the regulations. So we'll be working with the Planning Commission to clean that up and provide more direction, not only to me, but also to the public with that. Is there anything else?
No, those are the.
Okay. All right.
Any
Any-
Rory, I forgot, for the comp plan, is there like a statutory time when that has to be completed by?
Yes. So town plans, comp plans, they last 8 years. So our current master plan went into effect in March 2019, and it's set to expire March 2027. So I'm aiming to have all of that ready going into the fall for the Planning Commission first, and then to you to review and adopt, hopefully.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Trying fall suggestion.
Oh, saw something was happening up there.
All right, who goes next? Jessica.
All right, so I have one item here. It's about the staffing audit. So after meeting with staff and reviewing the different options related to the staffing audit and skills matrix work, the conversation devolved into exploring implementation of a human resources information system, which I know we had talked about previously. Through these discussions, it became clear that an HRIS would help us better assess and track organizational capacity on an ongoing basis, including staffing levels, skills and skill needs, certifications, training, and workforce needs across departments. In addition to supporting the goals of the staffing audit, it would also provide broader operational benefits to all departments and appears to be the best long-term value for the city. And this is phase one of the staffing audit project because the work on this will continue.
Yeah, so Jesse basically just did both updates because the same item is continuing through and just is manifesting in fiscal year 2027 as the.
It's the implementation of it.
Exactly. That was an easy one, quick one. Any comments, questions?
No, it sounds great. I mean, I think it's important in whichever way you can to be able to do the staffing audit, because we all know that capacity is hard, and I think it's important to understand what you all need. So, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. All right, Jasmine. I know it's confusing. So this is. No, yeah, okay. It's just what goes in the spreadsheet.
Okay.
This is the challenge of doing it in May, early May. It's like there was a lot of last minute organization, so.
Okay.
Understandable confusion.
So for fiscal year '26, for all of the housing items, so H2 has been fully implemented and will continue to be reevaluated annually. That'll be coming again for review next month. H3 is progressing more slowly than originally anticipated, but is expected to be completed by the end of the grant period in December 2026. So that'll carry on through next fiscal year as well.
I'll just add, actually, so it's slower than planned, but it's not unsurprising that it's taken a bit
No.
because of the community engagement piece.
This is true. H4 is also moving forward despite some challenges, and staff remain positive about continued progress. Sorry, I'm like, which one is which?
Yeah, you only need to address the ones with H in front of them, so
Yeah.
6 and 7.
H6 is currently on hold pending more substantial information to share with the community. We have a meeting at the airport tomorrow, so perhaps in my next housing update, there will be more information on the sound mitigation program. And then H7 remains on hold pending legislative intervention. And I think I skipped H1. H1 is continuing, as Ravi
Well,
just
'cause
mentioned.
yeah, you weren't first.
Oh, that's
so,
true, that's
yeah.
true, okay.
Whoa. Wrong direction.
Okay, what's new? H5, I would say that's been happening, but is now a written priority. So that will continue. We anticipate starting to look at the core program and trying to re-envision that in a way that is a good macro level intervention for housing, but sustainable financially and actually usable to the community.
Which one's core? What's it stand for?
Construction and rehabilitation program. I think that's it.
Yeah. The other ones aren't new, so.
No. Okay.
Comments, questions?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Is there anything you, we, or the public can do to help advance just cause eviction?
Boy.
Well, the classic answer is you can always lobby the legislature.
Mhm.
Our representatives are, like, they know they've been tasked with it, and so they do what they can. So that's the tricky bit. Generally, you have most sway with your own legislators, but they're already on board. So the other piece is that not this year, but last year, what the holdup was that the governor wasn't going to sign it. So that whatever avenues you have to lobby the governor would be the other way to do it.
Thank you.
There is some appetite for like a statewide situation instead of doing it piecemeal. That, I think that's really the stated concern of the current governor. So if there was some momentum around that, that'd be one thing. yeah, as everybody knows, all the air in the room in the legislature this year was really taken up by education, yeah. Which, you know, we all need that sorted somehow because those costs keep going up, and also medical costs, which is also an affordability challenge for our taxpayers. So it was good that they spent time on those, but yeah, it didn't leave a lot of room to work on other things, is my understanding.
Thanks.
Good question.
All right.
No? All right.
Thank you. All right, fire and code. So poor John is still home,
Oh.
and it really takes a lot to put him under, so he's not home lately. So I'll do my best to represent what he's shared in advance. Recruitment and retention. This continues to be a challenge,
Yeah.
especially on the paid on-call side, through this past year. Dispatch working towards the July 1st, 2026 start of all fire and EMS calls being received from E911 and dispatched from Winooski PD. Accepted the new delivery of the new ladder after 4 years. That will be in service July 1, 2026. That's quite a lift to get everyone trained up on that. It's not enough just to have a new piece of equipment. You gotta know how to use it. There was some work done on the staffing model, which was referred to, oh, sorry, I didn't scroll up, in here. And all of these will continue into fiscal year 2027, if I can find my cursor. Resources like the 111 Weaver, which council approved the purchase of, the new ladder, and dispatch changes will allow us to forge ahead in our efforts to address many areas of concern, take a chunk out of those at least. So that's very encouraging. Additionally, new to the list will be securing emergency medical transport contract services and obtaining state of Vermont licensure as a first response medical agency. This does not, this is like below an AEMT level, advanced emergency medical technician, if you're familiar with that scale. It's below that, so it just gives us some more capability when we first get on scene to do some very basic first aid the way the police department often already does. Any comments I might be able to, or questions I might be able to answer from that?
Where are we in 111 Weaver? I know that we purchased it, but I didn't know if sale and everything has gone through and if we're able to start renovating.
Yeah, it's closed and they've already been renovating. They've been ripping out carpet and they gave me a tour and it's actually not too bad in there. The previous owners seemed like they did a nice job renovating it.
Nice.
And yeah, I just got a quote today for putting in the internet situation. So yeah, they're definitely making progress.
Great. Well, as it progresses, I'd love, and I'm sure other people would love to take a look at it, so,
Yeah, sure.
May I ask a question?
yes, please.
What's the internet situation?
So I think maybe we previewed it recently during, when we were looking at purchasing it or proposing that we purchase it. We just need internet there that connects with the city's network.
Okay.
So they've got to connect the two. It'll be by a satellite. I mean, not a satellite, but like a dish. It'll beam that, which I don't understand how that works, but it does.
Also need its own firewall.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Guess
Yeah,
that makes
security.
sense.
Gotcha. Thank you for the reminder.
Yep.
Anything else?
Okay,
All right.
John. Feel free to eat more pizza too.
Mm.
Don't have
What? I'm sorry. Probably gets a bit too much.
Yours doesn't even fit on one screen.
Yeah. So for the FY26 work, so we just went over that during the last council meeting, so I won't spend too much time. I think we had a good discussion on that. As a summary, all of the must-do items are proceeding as planned. Most of that is the major capital projects, so that's kind of the bulk of the work we're doing now. That's current estimate, that's about an $84 million investment in the city's infrastructure, so
pretty massive. So a lot of the may-dos for the FY26 are, we're not picking those up right now.
Mhm.
So for FY27 on this list, a lot of it's a continuation of what's currently happening. So 1, 2, 3, and 8 are the major capital projects that are Abenaki, Main Street, the new parking garage, and Hood's Crossing, which is kind of part of the bridge project. So continuing on to those, just progressing it. So Main Street and the bridge are gonna kind of flip soon, where we're kind of winding down Main Street and then the bridge is gonna ramp up. For new items, it's items 4, 10, and 12. So those are the new capital projects that were identified in the FY27 budget. So that is the parking garage elevator project, which will kick off in July. Number 10 is the East Spring Street sidewalk. That'll kind of coincide with that'll be part of the Hood's Crossing project that V-Trans is doing, but it's a non-participating cost, so the city will be on the hook for that expansion. And number 12 is the PD renovations work. So we're going to be working with Justin here soon to get that RFP out for the next sort of design phase scope ahead of July. And then remaining items in here that are new, the number 13 is the water distribution master plan. So we have a proposal for that right now. That'll start in July. Basically, we're going to be updating our citywide water distribution master plan. That includes looking at what we've updated since that 2016 report. There's been some new water mains have been installed. It changes some of the hydraulics in the system, so that could change the prioritization of what mains get replaced. And then we're also going to be working with Revy to look at future planning as far as what kind of demands we should be looking at for potentially upsizing some of those water mains. So we'll start working on that effort in July. Probably doing some field testing, hydrant flow tests to calibrate the model earlier. And then number 15 is, it's on here as a may-do, but I think it is probably must-do, is the treatment plant. So we do have a flood mitigation improvement project that's design-wise, that's in the budget for FY27. That does include some outfall improvements that are, our current plant has the outfall that goes to Winooski River. There's some deficiencies in the outfall where the pipe's sort of misaligned and we have some equipment that's outdated. So as we're doing that flood mitigation project, we would be looking to upgrade some of those outfall infrastructure pieces. So we do have an application into the state revolving loan fund that usually finances these projects at low interest. And typically you go through different phases with them. So step 1 is very concept design level, and then you don't actually end up paying on that work until you get to construction. So, and there's usually some grant funding that goes along with these projects. So we have applied to that, and we're waiting to hear back from the state on where that sort of ranks. So that's kind of in progress as well. And then number 11, that is that's the UPWP traffic calming, citywide traffic calming evaluation. So we did hear recently that UPWP grant application was approved, so that will be starting, well, it gets approved in July, but then it takes a couple months to get contracts set up with whoever they select for the consultant. So I would suspect sometime, maybe August, September, the consultant would get on board for that project. Those are kind of the new ones. And then there's still a few on there from last year. The snow and ice control, that'd be nice to get out, ideally ahead of next winter, just to have some public, involvement with that, and just so they know how we're operating. And then the parks one with the Rotary Fountain, that's still on there. Initially that was put on because we were getting a lot of public questions. We're like, let's just get on the list and make sure we're tracking it. But as I mentioned last meeting, there is an effort to sort of look at rehabbing that with some downtown business support. So we'll keep you updated on that one.
Questions, comments?
Thanks, John. When you said the garage is gonna kick off in July, like reconstruction, or are you starting to put out bids and stuff?
Which one? The
garage
The elevator?
Yeah.
So we still have to get through design
Okay.
phase, so yeah, it wouldn't start construction. Although with that project, it's a little simpler than your typical projects, because it's mostly just replacing equipment. So
Yeah.
it's getting a bid to replace the equipment. So it'll be much faster than a typical design bid build project. So
Great.
ideally, we would be looking to replace that equipment, I would say, probably fall or winter would be the target date for that, to
That's
get
great.
in construction.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Any other questions? Eli?
The MI11 Transportation Comprehensive Traffic Study. What is that again?
That's the traffic calming.
Okay, traffic calming.
Citywide traffic calming.
Okay.
That's the grant application
Yeah.
you submitted for.
Gotcha. And then, is there anything that we can do to make your life a little easier?
No, I mean, typically, no. So
Right now, or?
I like John.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm thinking back to usually the main support comes when we're chasing bond votes and things like that. That's where we, on DPW, we get a lot of help from you all to kind of sort of champion projects. But we're kind of in execution mode for a lot of this stuff right now, so that's.
I'll say two things, actually, because John's very nice and not saying the things. One thing is when the public reaches out is to explain to them why we can't do any more. Because John gets a lot of complaints, like, why isn't this fixed? Why? And yes, they do deserve to be fixed. There's a good reason for that complaint. But this is why we can't get to it right now. We are delivering on all these other things that have also built up over time. That was one thing. What was the other thing? Oh, the other thing is the fiscal year 2028 budget, which you have already been thinking about.
So going off of that a little bit more, is there anything in terms of I know previous budget discussions of another engineer came up. Is that something, or is it more hands-on? Do you need more labor folks, or is it more engineering? Is that something you want to propose, you want to talk about for us to start thinking about?
Yeah, potentially for FY28. I mean,
Okay.
I know that's probably a later discussion, but that's where the sort of hole is right now. I think we're pretty good on the operation, day-to-day side as far as staffing goes. Just the regular potholes and street sweeping and that sort of thing. It's more on the big projects, getting bids out type support where it's more admin, and having another staff engineer or something would be helpful. So.
Yeah.
One thing I did forget to mention is we do have a lot of stormwater work that I skipped over. That's going to be moving into construction. Those are must-dos because they're regulatory. We have some phosphorus control plan projects that we have to complete. They're kind of like the rain garden, bioretention basins that you see around town. Those are going to be moving into construction. And then we do have some design work that will be starting on this probably in July. We'll be working with Gray, with Landry Park, and potentially Richard Park if we have enough grant money left over. We have a $243,000 grant right now through DEC ARPA funding. There's a small rain garden bioretention project that we're doing on Brisson Court that's coming. They'll be started this summer. That's construction, and then the rest of it we're going to use for design work with that money.
Any other questions? Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
You were mentioning when you were starting your presentation, working with Revy on scoping. Will there be a documented report of that could be shared with council?
For the water main
Yes.
distribution? Yeah, so it'll be, we have the water distribution master plan report on our webpage. We're basically gonna be updating that document, and then I'll be reposting it for the public in there. And honestly, we could do a presentation to you all if you're interested too. Just kind of a quick.
Let the mayor decide.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it'd be a good one. I mean, it's a major cost item, obviously. Right now, we're millions of dollars from where we should be, but I mean, every municipality is millions of dollars behind where they should be in water main replacements. So this will kind of be a good update for you all as we get into the water budget.
Is that something completed in-house or that a consultant is completing, or CCRPC?
So the water distribution one will be a consultant. RPC doesn't really, they wouldn't fund that piece of it. So we're using the same consultant that did the original.
Okay. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Keep going.
Are you moving on from this topic?
I'm moving on from the water distribution master plan.
Okay, I have a supplement then. There is something I've been discussing with the leadership team that might result in a presentation of some kind relating to how the infrastructure pieces tie into the build-out plan above ground. So there might be, I'm imagining something will come to council related to that intersection. Not sure exactly how it's gonna look yet. Not something we've done before as far as I know.
Do you have an idea on what you're aiming for that to be ready?
I think we were, Rebby, last time we talked about it like later this summer, maybe, if everything else goes well, which, we'll see. But that's the idea, later this summer.
Okay.
Elaine, were you still thinking of having like fire and code in that discussion as well?
Yeah, it would start with infrastructure and the housing plan or the build-out plan, but then, yeah, it affects every department pretty much.
Okay.
Community services, policing, yeah, fire and code, yeah.
Okay, good.
Something that wasn't mentioned, or actually something that, I'll go to something that was mentioned, the UPWP grant. Will that be going out to bid?
So the Chittenden County bids that work.
Okay.
They have I think they do like a 3-year bidding process with consultants, and then they actually select the consultant, and then they kind of come to us and they're like, what do you all think? And most 9 times out of 10, we're like, yes, that makes sense for that consultant.
Okay, so
Yeah.
CCRPC is project managing the grant.
Yep.
Great, that is helpful to know.
The way the UPWP works is that it's the work that they're gonna do for municipality.
It's not considered a grant to the city.
Right, it's not, they're not giving us the money, they're doing the work that
Yep.
we want them to us.
Won the award. Huzzah. Following up on that, I was wondering about I'm going to get the acronym wrong because I can't remember it. The RFP?
Yep. So I think Mayor's been on some of these emails too. So we reached out to V-Trans, and they are, so obviously with the bridge reconstruction, and given that it's so close to the lower end of the circulator where we only have that one RFB, we've sort of made the case to say, that RFB might be out of commission, so it would benefit the city greatly if, as part of the bridge project, a new RFB was installed at the top of the circle on the west side, and they seem very okay with that. I think they still have to kind of run up the flagpole, but frankly, given the project is going to be an $80 million project and they're looking at a $30,000 RFB, they're like, sure.
Hopefully, yes.
So we've formally submitted that request. We have formally gotten a response back that's positive, and we'll keep advocating for it.
Okay, again, I'll repeat the question of my co-counselors. Is there anything that we can do to help you with that?
Not yet. I think, we've got some horsepower of the city manager, sending that along with the mayor, and if we hit a bump, then I think we would ask for some additional advocacy.
Okay.
Did you have a question on that?
May I make,
RFP?
I just want to make a note. There's a lot of acronyms being used. I'm grateful to be in front of a computer that I can Google them.
Yep.
But if someone is choosing to watch this later, they might not have access to a computer. So I just want to note when you're talking about a flashing beacon.
Yep.
To use a crosswalk.
Yep.
And then I just want to note for people that the acronym UPWP means Unified Planning Work Program.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, half the time that one I don't even remember. Like it's so, it's ingrained the acronym, but it's,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I think that if we're trying to make this process more available to people, in like in my space, what we call jargon giraffe, which is like very, right? And I'm just like, I'm learning in real time. And it took me a while to realize that what we were talking about was a flashing beacon. And so I didn't know that. And so I just wanted to provide context for people who might be listening. So thank you so much, John. I
No,
really
that is
appreciate
great. And RFB is rectangular rapid flash beacon. That's
Awesome. Okay,
where that
I
one
did
comes
not know
from.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, we do appreciate because we're living it all the time. We don't always
Yes.
remember. So if you
Yeah.
catch that, definitely feel free to speak up. We appreciate that, helping the community.
I'm done with my questions for the moment. Yeah.
Any, you know,
I have one final question. I don't even know if it goes in here, but not just to ask a question to follow up. It's a previous year we talked about line striping and figuring out a new way of doing line striping. Would that fall into these things, or is that something different? Is it more operational side?
I think it's more operational. So
Okay.
that is on my next to-do list, is to prepare a 3-year sort of contract, 3-year bid for line striping. And so we do have a dedicated line now, accounting line for that contract work. So I think we have a good we have a way to manage that a little better where we're keeping up on schedule. So the plan is that every year we'll be doing contract durable paint that's not, the paint that lasts like not even a season, on mostly our gateways in downtown. So, Main Street will obviously get new paint this season. East Allen would be getting durable paint this season because it's starting to wear, especially around the circulator as well. And then Mallets Bay, that was the most recent contract painting. And then internally, Public Works will do all the neighborhood streets still, like all the crosswalks and stop bars. That will be with water-based because it doesn't see the abuse that the main gateways get. But I think we have a good plan. It's just me getting to the contract work that needs to happen.
Yeah, as far as the budget line goes, I think maybe a couple years ago, leading up into the budget season a couple years ago, post-COVID, there was just a lot of pushback. So this is one of those areas where John was trying to be responsible with the budget, and it would just be what was left over. And so he wouldn't be able to bid it out, and if I'm getting this right, until the spring, in which case then we're competing with everyone else who already got their contracts set before the spring. So now that council agreed to, council listened to public feedback, it's like, yes, we want a dedicated line. Now John can plan ahead and actually get it into the contractor's schedule, because there's basically one game in town.
Yes. Yep. So the plan would be this year when that contractor's in town to do Main Street, they're also going to do our, city contract work while they're here.
all right, thanks, John.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
All right, Ray, yeah.
Hello, hello. So I'm going to start with current year. We'll go through a few of the community services goals and then take some questions and move to looking ahead. So Safe, Healthy, Connected People 1, which is related to redevelopment of the O'Brien Community Center. I think folks here have heard a bit about that, but just to say aloud, it's moving slower than we'd hoped. I think the things that have been hanging us up are related to environmental remediation. The soil discovery was a curveball that we did not anticipate, and then fundraising as well.
been a challenging environment to do philanthropy and fundraising right now, and so I think we are behind where we would like to be at this point. What I will say on a positive note is, if anyone saw the library's Instagram post today, we are actively packing up. Moving day is next Monday. So things are moving in good faith with CHT. Design work has gone really well. I think really positive public engagement and support, but just some of those behind the scenes pieces are slowing things down a bit. So tracking towards a fall start date for construction still. That's what we're holding. Again, that could change depending on, in particular, the financing. So. And then other kind of community service-led goals in here, we have a few in partnership with PD and with Public Works as well that my colleagues have spoken about or will speak about. The progress on the Parks and Open Space Plan has been positive. I think we're making good headway there. Current year projects that are of note, we've got our pavilion going up at Landry Park in partnership with our volunteer Tom Lucatel, which is awesome. So that's, the pieces are there, the boards are put together. We're working right now on a plan on how to stand those up. Eli, who's done some barn raising, has been sort of informally helping us think through that, which is great. But that's really exciting to have that moving forward. Got some grant funding to support that project as well, which is nice. And then another piece that we have been really working on quite a bit this year is Memorial Park. So I think we've really pivoted our strategy there from what had been a pretty heavy conversation about management strategy and who's going to manage it. And really, instead, I think we've taken a big step back through a grant we got in partnership with Friends of the Winooski River and Winooski Valley Park District to say, let's just really think about activating this space and get people in here, really think about, through those experiences and engagement, what this park could be, and then kind of, I don't want to say back into, but for lack of a better way to say it, back into a management conversation through those events and activities. Already through that, we've identified some potential water quality projects there. We have some pretty significant ravines that are developing that Friends of the Winooski has a lot of experience managing, Park District has experience managing, so they've been working with me to think about some potential funding streams. And so I think it's already a strategy shift that's bearing fruit, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then West Allen Park is the other one that's specifically highlighted in current year. We have gotten a very conceptual playground design from a playground vendor, which is exciting. Unfortunately, their design work stays to the playground structure. And I think that there's really a bigger design question in that park. Right now, with all due deference to those in the past, it's a little bit of a smattering of like a dog park here, a swing set here, a basketball court here, and there's not a lot of cohesion to the space. So I think we really want to make sure we get that part right as we think about the bigger picture. So the other thing, not surprisingly, the price tag for a playground is not cheap. So I think it was good to get that number in front of us, but also a pretty big number for us to think about how we crack in the future. So that one continues to be an ongoing task for us. And then Winooski Senior Center, this one is, I don't want to say in a holding pattern, but a little bit in a holding pattern. There's no imminent pressure from a developer. We have a lease on the Senior Center property through 2043. So there's no urgency, but I think especially as we think about the redevelopment project at OCC and the ways we want to bring all of our community service programming under one, potentially under one roof, that's something that I think may pick up some steam in the next couple of years. So nothing, I don't want to say it's delayed because there's not a lot we could have been doing, but it's been on the radar and something we want to keep on the radar. So those are current year kind of priorities for community services. Curious if there are questions or comments on those.
For O'Brien, Ray, if Howard isn't able to raise the money, like what does that look like? Like what happens?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what I will say is that from a positive standpoint, we have not had that conversation or kind of mentality going into this. I think there is a feeling that we're going to continue to work to raise the money, and worst case, it delays the start. So even as we negotiated the lease for the current space or the temporary space we're moving into, we talked about longevity of the lease, ability to extend that if need be. But I think there are opportunities to think about phasing that project if we do need to do that. It gets a little tricky because of the mix of funding that's in there. Community health centers, redevelopment is a big piece of that. Obviously the library and our offices. And unfortunately, one sort of has to happen before the other. So the way that we're mapping it out now is that the library piece would happen first. That's kind of the first domino.
Yeah.
Everything clears out, and then health center can come in and do their work as sort of a phase 1.5 or
Yeah.
2, however you want to look at it. So I think if we were to have to really shift strategy, it would require a lot of conversations about how we do that and what moves where in the process.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good question. Again, I think fortunately, I appreciate the positivity. We've not gone there yet,
Right.
but I think it is not lost on us that that is a possibility.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. For the playground, what was the number?
The very conceptual number, which I will say was also a pretty basic design, was 200,000.
Okay.
And that's just the structures. So that doesn't include, landscaping, retooling of pathways, walkways, that sort of plantings, any of that sort of stuff. So it's a big number.
Yeah.
If anyone has the idea of doing it ourselves, please don't, because I've looked into what it takes to make those things compliant, and it is a lot.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you just buy something.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Anybody?
I noticed through the Winooski Gardening Group, some new plots that went in.
Yes, at West Allen.
Was that all voluntary labor and donations? Or?
Yep, so that was done as part of the redevelopment project actually at O'Brien Center.
Okay, so relocating.
So CHT actually covered costs.
Okay.
We were really fortunate, actually, Longboard Lumber, I'll give them a shout out here, donated all the lumber and the delivery, which we didn't realize was happening until the boards were being dropped off, which was pretty cool. And then Robin and her team, in partnership with volunteers through a bunch of different sources, UVM being one, did the work to put those together and then fill them with the soil. So, yeah, so not new dollars to the city cost-wise, because any of the dollars that went out were through the redevelopment fund for the O'Brien Center project.
Okay. Is it the same number of plots or more plots than the current space?
So that number of plots, so behind the community center, we had, I believe it was 69 or 70 plots, which is hard to believe looking at that space, but there truly were that many back there. When we went to relocate, I think we ended up having 48 of our gardeners from the O'Brien Center looking to move elsewhere. So we didn't add additional plots beyond those 48. So there are some fewer in the system now based on that kind of lack of request, but I think when we move back after construction is done into that space, we will grow back into that 70 or so.
We will be able to move back?
That's the plan as of right now, yeah. We're
Okay.
holding that space as garden. I
Okay.
think, I say that with a little hesitation in my voice because I think I don't know where things go in the way of parking, stormwater, some of those pieces. There's some stormwater infrastructure that's being looked at back there, and I think there's some questions about, is it above ground, below ground, what does that look like?
Okay.
But the plan as of right now is that we will return that to garden space when the project wraps up.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. And then quickly looking ahead to this next year, so obviously some carryover. O'Brien Center project's going to continue to be pretty heavy on our list. We have 2 new staff positions, which we're thrilled about. Well, one new, one expanded. So Barb's position moving from part to full-time, and then really thrilled. We have 4 second interviews scheduled for Thursday for our Parks and Trails Steward position. We've had really strong and really fabulous candidates, lots of candidates, really good.
That's great.
So we're feeling really excited and optimistic about that position, being able to get started in a really strong way. And then Barb and I have continued to have conversations about what her schedule is going to look like come July, some new programming ideas. She's been actually touring around to other senior centers in the area, so she's seen South Burlington, Essex, Williston. I think she's going to go to Charlotte. She went to Heidelberg. So really trying to just go see those spaces, absorb what they're doing, and think about how she can bring some of those pieces in. So pretty excited about that. Obviously, I mentioned Memorial Park, more to come. If there's an event, come check it out. And then I think, let's see, Senior Center is on here, Parks Plan is on here. One exciting update on the Parks Plan front, which I think Angela, I just got the email today, but we passed compliance for our recreational trails program grant, so we got a $20,000 grant to do design work for potentially a boardwalk at Gilbrook Reservoir to connect the parking lot to the main trail network, because that trail is pretty dodgy. So just got the email today saying we passed our sort of compliance phase and have that funding as soon as we sign our grant contract. So pretty excited about that project. Yeah, I think those are, just double checking through. Yeah, I think those are the big ones.
I do have a question. Where does public art policy and procedure fit in?
I knew you were gonna ask that. I didn't
You're
realize
you're
that was
welcome.
in it. So
It's a
it is-
softball.
No. It is on there. So as we talked about last time, working on the short-term policy that we'll hopefully have back in front of you all very soon. And then the longer-term policy would be something that we get started sort of in the fall. So we're working on getting those meetings scheduled and keeping that train moving, but that'll be on the list of things that we are continuing to work on.
Is the hope, since this is FY28, right?
This is fiscal year 27.
This is
So
27.
this is the year we're about to start.
Okay.
So 28, I think as you think about public art, I think the only thing I would say maybe as a maybe, and then this is your prerogative, but like if we were to look at through a budgeting process, wanting to fund that policy, I think that's a conversation council would have, or at the very least give some guidance on how we're gonna spend city funds that are available for public art.
Okay.
But
So just a clarifying question. So you do intend to continue the conversation for a longer-term public art framework into FY27?
correct, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? No? All right, thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you. While Justin's coming up, realized missed one. Electric vehicle charging was another thing under Revy's jurisdiction, let's say, so FYI. It was number MI 13. Not unless they have a question.
Okay.
All right.
Can I ask?
Eli?
Yeah, do you mind if I ask a question?
Oh, you do, okay.
Yeah, just hopefully a quick one. Well, what do you expect to do with that? This, like, I'm assuming, yeah. What is that at the end of it looking like? Because I saw the report.
Yeah, so in this current fiscal year, we did an EV charging planning study that was funded through a Department of Energy block grant. We received $50,000 to do this work, and we finished the work. So the next step with that is implementation. So VTrans has put out a request for proposals for them to utilize their NEVI funds. I don't know what the acronym for NEVI is, so you might need to look that up. And because under the NEVI program, I'm not mistaken, there was settlement money involved, and then it's part distribution of settlement money for EV charging infrastructure. And there's been some back and forth at the federal level, but now they've been released, so VTrans is looking to build out that infrastructure. Per the NEVI, the statewide NEVI plan, we have been targeted for EV charging infrastructure. But VTrans is also looking at this holistically and seeing which places are site ready, shovel ready, which places have the buy-in to put in EV charging, and how does that line up with their NEVI plan. So we've put in 2 locations through their RFP process. I put in for Landry Park and for 190 East Allen Street. So that is the parking lot for Cassavant. It's on the south side, right as you're going out this way, right before the railroad tracks on the south side. I haven't received any word back from VTrans. Yeah, more to come with that, hopefully. In other implementation things, things still in discussion, still figuring things out. Yeah, we'll try to figure out and find more grants and more funding opportunities for future implementation.
NEVI stands for National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program.
Thanks.
Fairly straightforward.
Thank you.
Not as confusing as UPWIP or the old UDR.
I just want to also support the work on that. And again, if there's anything we can do to support you, here for it.
Thanks.
If we were to be selected for a grant, what FY year would that go into for infrastructure?
I don't know.
Okay.
So, because I don't know, because I haven't talked to V-Trans yet, and V-Trans hasn't reached out to me about these sites. I don't know what their timeline would be, what engineering that they would need to do before the site is done. I know that for Landry Park, Public Works and Community Services have some plans for repaving and some stormwater work. So there would be some coordination that would have to happen hypothetically with V-Trans down the road. So yeah, I can't say whether it would happen in FY27 or FY28. There's a lot of discussions that need to be had and a lot of coordination that would need to happen.
Nice.
In addition to grants, are you looking at any sort of private funding available for electric vehicles? Are there like car manufacturers that have like incentives for installing their specific models or anything more creative for funding?
I'm not familiar with many that are out there, and it's really shrunken down in recent times, unfortunately. I am aware that there are programs for private property owners that want to install electric vehicle charging, and they can get funding for that. And that could be something that we could promote. But yeah, I'd have to do some more research and dig around.
Okay. I don't know if there are any. I'm
Unless
curious,
Bryn,
yeah.
you know of any sources.
I think it's always good to start the conversation with your utility providers early. So if there's something possible, certainly engaging with GMP as just helping with scoping and some project support early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did explore some,
Sorry, Green Mountain Power.
we did explore some more obvious areas from the plan with a provider, because the state is a recipient of settlement funds from not the Volkswagen, but the Stellantis suit. But we're kind of in a holding pattern with them right now. And so we'll have to see what they thought of those sites, because some of them should be very expensive to explore, like in the downtown, where everyone would think, well, of course you would want to put it there. But yeah, we're not sure exactly on what they think of the limitations. It would be the limitations that we would have in terms of cost and access to three-phase power and all that.
Well, for Landry Park and for 190 East Allen Street, we've already had conversations with GMB about that and received quotes for that. So they are in the loop and would be in the loop when V-Trans reaches back out. So we have all that documentation ready.
Sorry again. Because this is all in the scope of public. If a private property owner, say a gas station, wants to convert or something like that, would the city be involved in that at all, or would that be completely separate from us?
It wouldn't. It would. I think Public Works would have to be involved, because there would be right-of-way work that would be involved. It depends on the scope and extent.
Okay.
In terms of permitting, there wouldn't be any zoning permitting, because per statute, zoning doesn't cover public utilities, and it doesn't cover charging. Depending on the structuriness, there might be code enforcement involvement and code enforcement involvement with electrical permits. But that's all for the permitting side of it. It's not. It wouldn't have a connection with the EV charging readiness plan.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now Justin.
borrow mine?
Maybe. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I have a spare set in my office.
I know. Been fighting it.
It doesn't work, you know.
Paul, I think we're.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah. See how long there, I'm just gonna get it.
I can hold it over here.
Yes, so 3 and 4. We're going to kind of combine those because they kind of dovetail together. As far as the staffing levels right now, we're in pretty good shape staffing wise. We are currently full staffed on the patrol side, which it's been a while since we've been full staffed. We do have one person in the academy. We expect to see them out of the academy at the end of this month and then field trained and ready to go by July, August timeframe. So we're hoping to stay full staffed up until that point. We do have the DLO position that's currently open, the district liaison up at the school. Unfortunately, our DLO moved to San Diego where it's a little bit warmer. So we do have that position to fill. The applications for that position have been somewhat lean. We have had some, but it's been all non-certified police officers that have been applying, so somebody with no experience. Typically, that position, we'd like to get somebody in there that's already not only full-time certified, but has a couple of years of experience. As we limp through this year and look forward to next year, we might have to reevaluate what we want to do with that as far as maybe we hire somebody that has no experience, send them to the academy, and then put them up at the school. But we'll address that as that goes on. As far as investing in our employees, FY26 in review has been a really good year, actually, for that, one of the best that I've seen. We met all of our mandated training requirements for calendar year 25, and for our agency, that's about 450 hours, so just on mandated training, so that's a pretty big lift for our agency to do. We also did a voluntary audit of all of our training records and hours that was done by the academy, and we had a very good audit, so we're happy with that. Outside of the mandated training, we were able to get a lot of the training that we wanted to get done as far as investing in our employees and professional development. We had 2 officers that went to first line supervisor training. We had an officer that went to mid-management training. We had 2 officers that became instructors in mandated training. So some of the mandated trainings that we have that are put on by the academy, we can train in-house as long as we have officers that are certified to conduct those trainings. Any questions on that?
I did have a question, and now I forgot. Do you all have any questions, and maybe mine will come back to me?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go for it.
I can't remember when we talked about it, but are there any current officers in training for filling or supporting the detective role?
No, not right now, and that was what we were going to talk about next. So we did pull that, as you know, we pulled that role in December just to backfill patrol, just because when we lose somebody or 2 people, it really has a big impact on patrol. So we did pull that position. Not only does it affect, it's good for patrol to have that buffer with the detective not in there. Unfortunately, what it really did was it took that work that the detective was currently doing and it put it on the administrative positions, so the lieutenants and myself. So that's a big reason why we didn't get to the strategic plan like we wanted to do, and we're a little bit behind on some policy review and implementation that needs to go into effect. So the goal is, if we can stay full staff to August when we get the officer out of the academy, is to backfill that detective position, and I have that noted here and looking ahead for
Okay.
27.
Thanks. Do you remember?
Anybody else? No.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciated that. All right.
Well, I'll note too that this, it's thanks to Justin that we've been able to train up new supervisors. I think the way he portrayed it is before, maybe because we were always too short-staffed, it's like someone would look like they had potential and then they would get promoted and there wasn't any preparing them for the leadership. So
Yeah.
it's great that he's been able to get to that proactively.
So looking ahead, FY 27, as far as the training and retention and investing in our employees, we're really looking at it from a department level view now, which we've never really done before. So we're gonna start that by beginning of FY 27, we're gonna have biannual officer evaluations, where a big portion of that will be what direction that officer wants to go in as far as the trainings that they want to seek out to better support them, but also better support our agency. And what we're really trying to do is break it down into like an officer experience time frame. So that officer, as far as experience in the 3 to 5 year window, we want to prioritize training like field training officer trainings, baseline detective training, advanced traffic enforcement training, instructor development training. That's that 3 to 5 year window. And then as we push that experience out to an officer that's got 5 to 10 years of experience, then we want to start looking at first line supervisor training, mid-management training, crime scene training, public information officer, public speaking training. I missed that one.
No, you're so
And,
doing fine. You're doing fine.
So that's that 5 to 10 year window. And then the 10-year plus window, that's when we really want to start looking at executive development training, policy implementation training, strategic planning training, and budget preparation training, which I think, you know, historically what we've done is it's always just been meeting the minimum amount of training hours. But now we're at a portion or a point where we can really look, you know, what's going to benefit the officer for retention, but also what is going to make our agency better in preparing for, you know, potential retirements that are coming. Yeah.
All right. Any questions? Comments?
I have comments.
Yeah.
I just want to note that it's so clear that you are so dedicated to your team and your investment in your team, and I think that that's not something that we see often in many leaders, and I'm just speaking like worldwide as someone who's been managed before, but it's something that I think is really important, and I want to commend you for that, and also everyone, and sorry that I haven't said this to the rest of the team, I apologize, but to everyone here, like it's not easy to be a manager, it's not easy to have a team, and the way that you invest in your officers, and I really want to name that, because I think particularly in the work that you are in is very, very difficult. And so I just really want to commend you for that. Also, you're a phenomenal public speaker.
Thank you, I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Justin.
Actually,
Oh.
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no, you lost your chance. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I may be imagining this. Did I see something, a recent update about one of the officers potentially having interest in the K-9 unit?
Yes, yeah, that's been, it depends on the officer, but yeah, we do have a couple that are interested in it. We talked about a therapy dog at one point, we talked about a patrol dog at one point, so there's a couple different officers that have different interests in it. When it gets to the point where we feel like we're in a position that we can do it, because it comes with a lot of training and a big commitment. The good news is the financial commitment is pretty much covered by grants.
Right.
So that wouldn't be a big deal. So depending on the officer that was selected to do it, I think will dictate which direction it goes.
Does the therapy K-9 option have lower training demand?
It's a good question.
Yeah,
I can find
we could
out.
ask Wilson.
I can find out. I would assume so, but I don't want to speak out.
Yeah, I
of
don't
pocket.
know. but I wasn't imagining that.
No.
Okay. I know it's come up a couple times
Speed part
over.
is coming, I thought that's what.
That too, but I know that there's been talk for several years now about the support a K-9 unit could offer. But again, that it doesn't come without a significant time commitment as well.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Justin.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the first agenda item, at least from the staff side, in terms of presentation. So now I've got a question for council. Is this list good to, for us to report on? Is there anything you want to pull from the operational list for us to report on?
Go ahead.
I guess a clarifying question is, anything that's already currently being reported on that's not on here, can that continue? Such as the pool use numbers, because I don't know
Oh.
that that's mentioned on here, so I don't know what you mean by reporting.
I meant in the same way that we've reported out this year quarterly on the current policy priorities and strategies. This is like the FY27 version. So there's other data that you asked for during budget, which, you know, we would still continue to try to provide
Okay.
as we could.
I was thinking reporting.
Yeah, not general. I meant for the quarterly goal report.
Okay, all right, thanks for the clarification.
Of course, yeah.
Line striping in particular? I know you're talking
So
about
what?
line striping.
Oh, line striping. What about it?
Well, just understanding more of like if we've figured out how to do every 3 years or things like that. I don't know if there was, sounds like it wasn't fully implemented, but I don't completely know.
John, you have any objections to adding that to reporting out? Okay. I mean, it's something that we do anyway, so. Anything else?
Elsie? No? Brian?
I think it's good.
All right.
Thomas? All right. So do you want to
need
just
on
vote,
that?
please?
Yeah.
So it's officially
All right, I'll
council's
seek a
list now.
motion to direct staff to consider the list of possibilities as discussed, adding in the line stripping.
So moved?
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, tand you so much.
I have a question.
And I do just want to see if there's anyone online who has any questions about all of the items we discussed so far. If you do, just raise your hand. All right, not seeing raised hand. Bryn, you had a question?
I was curious how items for approval tonight adhere to the 2014 policy.
I mean, these aren't policies, so if I'm recalling, then it's like not specific to that. You're approving what the
Direction.
reporting out, yeah, is on.
So that was exclusive to policies.
Yeah, that's the policy on written directives. I think of it as the policy on policies for shorthand.
Okay. That's helpful. So it's not just generic agenda items.
No, yeah, it doesn't mean that any agenda item has to take 2 meetings before you can approve it.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All right, time is 7:50. Before we move on to item B, I'm going to call a 5-minute recess, so we'll come back at 7:55.
Oh, and unfortunately, my grand plan for reorganizing this space will not work because unfortunately that will not, yeah, I didn't.
No, I was
plan
wondering
out
if we were all gonna be at a table.
That was my plan, but, yes,
Can we just put extra tables? Yeah, can we bring up chairs?
yes. None of the wires.
I'll bring up chairs.
So we'll reconvene this morning.
Are you already in conversation? Yeah, because you're probably conflicted out, right? Yeah. Yeah, sure, yeah, let me know what you want. I'm intrigued. Yeah. Thanks.
I love it, Angela. Always.
Whenever we have a leadership meeting, we're
Okay.
sit here during finance commission.
I love it. Jesse, I love your earrings. I love your earrings.
Thank you.
That was gonna be my comment during your presentation, but I didn't know if it was like okay to say it.
And we're all about professionalism here.
Yeah.
Friday he was wearing rubber ducks, which I appreciate.
There was a Ducks game that night.
A Ducks fan, huh? What? Owl?
This pizza's really saving me. I'm meeting with the city of Bentonville, Arkansas on Thursday.
So, what are so much because I get from in a couple years,
I love that.
Yeah. Delco, baby. I have family who live in Conshohocken.
What's disgusting with this place I've never heard of in my life?
So Bentonville, Arkansas is like the, yeah, well, it's the Walmart capital of the world, but they are like famous for community support infrastructure, particularly for being like a bicycle city. And I'm flying there on Thursday because Liz has a 60-mile bike race on Saturday, and I'm going to be a good wife. But anyone that I talk to, they're like, oh, next weekend, I'm like, are you going to come to Unheard Stories? And I'm like, oh, I have to go watch it. I'm like, oh my god, I watch videos all the time. They have such good biking. And I was like, all right. Started shopping an email and I was like, hi, any interest in meeting? And I was walking, I was walking here today and I know they're going to come to Arkansas. And I was like, oh my god, Liz died. The hospital told me she died. And the guy was like, I'm going to get lunch after Thursday. I was like, all people from the airport. He's like, please, Southern Hospitality, man. Anyway, but just what is their city government like? And I was like, we don't have Walmart money, but just like,
Would be nice.
just like, just looking at the priorities, biking, whatever.
Yeah.
Also just like,
I mean,
Liz is working.
Right now,
If you want to hang out, absolutely not. You don't want to go to the Walmart museum? Absolutely not. There's a Walmart museum.
It's like truly a company town.
I know.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, my friend has a baby there, and they're in like Wally, like little stars, like daycare, and like it's it's an interesting like town structure.
Town's a big deal. Walmart is.
I don't know if I'd want to live in a town that is known for a private corporation. Because then if anything goes wrong with a private corporation, your town is then
Closes.
Yeah.
Industry relies on that, and the tax base rely on that industry, and then
The
it
people are
closes.
partially also
I'll bring
pretty
you-
fun.
Oh yeah.
Turns into a blighted
Leave a
community.
great vegetable. I'll bring you back.
True.
So many other things.
It's almost like we were in Mill City.
No, you-
Why?
Yeah, okay. You do know you live in a company town, right? Barely know my own. Half the time, you know. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Nice.
you.
This is the part of that email, Thomas, that you're.
That's fantastic.
Remind us your name. Rizan. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I didn't know if there was a B in front of it. No, I just did this. B is this.
He's very
I can
loud.
only sign, send a sign. I can only sign the alphabet.
All right, the time is 7:56. We are back from our break.
I don't know that I've ever heard a mayor actually use that to open a meeting.
Well, you know, I don't want to shout that loud.
Why not?
Thanks, everybody, for your presentations during the first half. So the second half is for us to discuss FY28 possibilities for the budget. I don't know if you, I'll just read off the cover sheet here. So I encourage council to discuss their goals and asks for FY28 budgeting in the context of the master plan vision areas of economic vitality, safe, healthy, connected people, municipal infrastructure, housing, existing plans. Staff, of course, is on hand to provide context for asks. And if we're ready by the end of the meeting, council may want to agree on a list of possibilities they would like staff to provide information on by September to inform staff budget development and council budget goal setting in October. Alternatively, we can just consider setting the list at our next regular meeting. So, Elaine, I don't know if you want to add anything. So we've done this activity in different ways since I've been on council. We've taken kind of this list and gone over it. I think as this is kind of an open discussion time, it's hard to think of like retreat as we're sitting in our like historic place where we always sit, but I think this is a time for like very open conversation, a good time to talk with staff directly. You know, I think a lot of what we run up against is our ideas, whether they be our own or ideas that residents have brought to us, and then our hopes that those things can get implemented, but not fully understanding if staff can actually do those things or what their time looks like. And also, you know, it's a great example tonight was Ray spoke about the playground, which I had kind of forgotten about, but is definitely something that I am interested in. So having staff for this kind of initial conversation, I think is really beneficial. You know, when I think of FY28, and I guess I should give some context because not everybody has been here for a long, long time. As we've thought about budgets in past years, we had been very prescriptive on what council wanted to see, which wasn't the process that you got to experience last year. We were a little more open. I think that there were definitely benefits in the way that we did that, but again, it left some things unaddressed and unseen. I again thank you, Elaine, for everything you brought to us to look at last year. I don't necessarily, I think we're too early for me to have thought of what approach we should take for next year's budget, but you know, one thing that I would just like you all to understand, kind of some of my top concerns for going into FY28 budgeting are safety in the city. So not just safety that police provides, but also safety for pedestrians and walkers. So I'm thinking of things like line striping and all of the different studies that we've done that have suggested changes to our streetscapes to slow drivers down. I'm thinking of rectangular rapid flashing beacons. Businesses are top of mind in terms of the bridge work. I think we kind of saw a little bubbling up at the bridge meeting the other day of businesses starting to really think, oh gosh, shit, here, this project is coming, and what is that really going to look like for us? And I think the way that we were able to with partners with the Implement the Mosaic campaign for businesses during the second part of Main Street. Built a lot of faith in the business community of how we can help or try to help them. But I think that's something that we should look into or talk about. I don't know if we could try to create money for a loan program or a grant program, or just we try to support a staff position that would be able to seek grants. But I think we should just know that it's not just the businesses who are concerned. I've already started hearing, I'm sure you have, from residents who are very worried that bridge construction is going to start and businesses are going to start closing up. I added in just the playground and the art. Those are two important things. Again, Ray, you said $200,000. It's a big number. I'd wager to guess we probably want to spend maybe a little more, because it sounds like that was pretty basic. But as we are creating housing that we are hoping will bring more families and children into our town, I think we need to make sure that we're trying to think of all the different resources, right? It's great that we have so many amazing services through Ray's department, but sometimes kids just don't want to sign up for pickleball, and they just want to go play on a playground. So, and then the artwork as well. Ray's going to be creating a document for us to follow, but in reality, if we actually want public art, we need to think about funding it as well. And then additional staff for everything that I spoke about. I think personally for me, seeing that engineer position that John briefly talked about a little bit last budget session, it's very important to me to see that again when we talk about FY28. And then, other staff that may be necessary. I'm, wondering if maybe we've invested historically a lot in projects and different things, but maybe this is the year where we start thinking about, well, do we need that extra engineer? Do we need I forget what the role is, the CEDO role? Like, is this the year that we do those types of things and we don't do big projects that we're bonding for? Those are kind of my initial thoughts. Please feel free to chime in with yours, Deputy Mayor.
I could provide a laundry list, but I wasn't asked for a laundry list. So maybe I'll give it
You want to give me like half your laundry list?
before our next meeting. I do think that economic vitality will, as we look at FY28. So that's the second half of 27 and first half of 28. So thinking about like the mobilization of bridge equipment, that, not knowing where we will in initial project construction phase and traffic impact by that time. Hood's Crossing project, Main Street ideally will be done by then, and all wrapped up. Not sure if DDI will be done by then. Do we?
DDI has what again?
Sorry.
The diamond exit 16.
Double diverging?
I just would like to note that
Diamond.
you can, maybe sometimes you could just say like exit 16. I'm not trying to be like a menace on acronyms, and now I feel like I'm branded as that.
No, you're holding us accountable, it's good. Diverging diamond interchange at exit 16. Yeah.
Diverging
I think
diamond.
John looks like he's
Interchange.
looking it up, but
Got
I
it.
think it's next year.
Well, Boulder
It's
Dash.
the
It's a
diverging
really,
diamond interchange.
it's a fun Boulder Dash experiment too. So just thinking about, I had this kind of realization of how, like the entry points to Winooski, and one of them is the very much needed resurfacing on Route 15 will be happening soon too. And so folks coming into Winooski, from Colchester, Essex, will be experiencing
That's
that.
already started.
This
I was
week.
going to say, because I heard it last night. So.
But I'm thinking of this
No,
because of
Winooski
that.
is very much going to be surrounded by projects.
That starting made me think of these additional things. Like I was at a conference this past week, and just the work on Colchester Avenue was a huge headache for a lot of folks. So it's, we're basically surrounded by projects, and that is a really visceral experience for regional impact. So just kind of really leaning into the economic vitality support for me. You know, public art being potentially an element of trying to attract folks to Winooski despite the construction projects might be an opportunity there. I will always advocate for line striping and traffic calming on those ends. I also would love to see more conversation around the housing and infrastructure side of things, because I think there may be data that needs to be provided in addition to the water distribution master plan. Did I get that right? Yes. That help give our community a framework of what the needs are for housing and an overlay of what the infrastructure capacity and updates would be needed to meet that increased housing demand as well. So to me, I'd say those are like the top handful of things I would advocate for.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Who would like to go next? While other councillors are thinking, does staff have anything they'd like to say on what the Deputy Mayor and myself have said?
Do you guys not want to go?
Oh, I can go. I was gonna go. I'm going back and forth. Okay. I'll go. So one of my biggest concerns for FY28 is definitely the bridge. I think there is a lot of risk with that project definitely for the businesses downtown. But it also thinks a lot of possibilities for us to try new things. In particular, I think I am for FY28 bike rack investments because of how Burlington will be shut off coming in. So we'll have to rely heavily on pedestrian traffic from Burlington. Other side of it is somehow leveraging more volunteers. That's another aspect of how we do that, something I would like to see more of. A lot of residents have passions and complaints, and I feel like if we were able to redirect their energy to somewhere that they can actually do the problem and fix the problem, that could be beneficial. Additionally, another thing I'm hoping to allow for 2028 would be allowing for pilot projects, allow streetscapes for residents to say, I like a planter near the end of my stop sign. Someone always parks there, I can't see the stop sign. Something simple as like that. Yeah, I think those were my top points.
I'll see.
Sure. So it gets easier as you've covered a lot of these now. My largest ones that haven't been covered would be housing. I want to continue to invest in that in smart growth, especially continuing to assess the need as the need does change in our community, but especially 3 and 4 bedroom housing, because that does continue to be a demand. Increasing staff capacity, specifically around public works and municipal infrastructure. And I'd like to see some more concentrated thinking around the senior center, especially because we do have a new full-time person and the future of the building itself remains unclear. So some planning for that.
Elsie, when you're thinking housing investments, are you thinking like council creating a fund for housing construction, or just continued support from planning commission to make it easier for housing?
I think definitely continuing discussions that are happening at planning commission regarding like the zoning and how we treat that. I'm not sure if a fund, but I think just like putting a little bit more time and energy into studying the need and where we are in the city.
Cool, thank you.
Sorry, before you go on, is there something you want to underline that was already discussed before? Because it's helpful to see if there's like a,
Cohesion.
oh, yeah.
I would just come back to economic vitality and a CETO office and community and economic development officer?
Yes, yeah.
Officer, yeah.
Thank you. Great, thanks.
I'm just really loving this mic tonight. I think for me, the first thing, again, like, if we were on like butcher block paper, I'd be like +1ing and putting post-it notes and everything that everyone else said. I think the thing that is really coming to top of mind for me right now is getting residents more involved in our local government. And I had a great conversation today with someone in my capacity as city council liaison to downtown Winooski, and he had such incredible things to say. Like, it was as if he knew our annual report and our budget like the back of his hand. And I was like, my dude, why don't you get involved? And he was like, oh, it's really hard. Commissions meet at 6 p.m. and I'm a new parent, and it was very helpful feedback, and feedback that I think, you know, we probably hear all the time. And I'm not saying that we should like completely overthrow how commissions are when they meet, but I think I would just.
Well, we have had the started the discussion, so it's not wild to say that.
But I think just I would love to participate and to further those discussions of, particularly obviously from like an equity lens and an inclusion and belonging lens of, you know, and particularly getting like young people involved, like students in the school involved, and how can we, just like have more residents and the people who are involved right now. Like, I see you, I see how dedicated you are. It's incredible that you're volunteering. And also there's more folks out there and they could do so much. And I see that our staff is very exhausted. And when I say exhausted, I mean that, like, I don't want to say that they're at a breaking point, because that's not fair for me to prescribe something to you all, but just that, like, being in city government, like, it is 8:15 on a Monday night and y'all are here. And that is amazing, and also bananas. And I'm someone who comes from like a social justice background. I think really honestly about burnout, and I think about doing work that you love because you do it, and also sometimes that can lead to forgetting yourself, right? And I think I just want to name for all of you, like, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so we have residents in the city who love this city as much as we all do. And so can we help to get them more civically engaged? Could that potentially help to, right? It's like, we can't have residents residents can be police officers, right? But we can't just like throw a bulletproof vest on a resident and be like, have fun. That's not going to work, and I'm not saying that that should happen. But I'm just thinking, right, that like, if we could build out commissions, if we could do some things, something that I love that I saw in a city recently was like having residents build benches for bus stops. And it was like very simple, right? It's just like things like that. And like, yes, everything costs money. We live in a capitalistic society. But like, are there ways that things that we could do, right? It's like, I'm thinking of the Winooski neighborhood group. Every zone donates like a bench to a local bus stop, right? Because then it's helping the community, right? And that's what we're all here to do. Anyway, that's my long tangent. So I think that, and then I think for me, it's also then, whether it's like additional staff or just like supporting staff, it's like, how can we show up for you? And what do you all need? I know that we had conversations, I'm gonna forget the name of the pension, I wanna say VARF, but that's the abortion fund, but like.
Viewers?
Yeah, viewers.
Municipal Employee Retirement System.
Yep, there you go. I knew I wasn't, so like, it's things like that, that like, let you all know that we're invested in you, and that that you're not just like here doing a job, but that we like truly deeply see you as leaders, and we want you guys to grow and to stay here. And then I've been thinking a lot about downtown Winooski recently, and so definitely I'm also just highlighting the bridge and businesses. And so I know we have a roundtable tomorrow, and just listening to the business leaders and what lessons learned from Main Street that we can then continue into bridge and start having those conversations now. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine, do you have any first thoughts or questions about anything we said?
I am, well, you all think about that for a minute. If you definitely want to speak up now, feel free. The way I was hoping this would work, which I feel like right now, at least for me, it did, is just to get an early look
Sorry,
at
did you
some.
say it did or it didn't?
It did work, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, I was like, I think we're aligned on what we wanted to do tonight. All right.
Yes, to get some specifics, because like, you know, Thomas and Bern will remember, when I first started, I think it was very specific, and then it was too specific, and then we were too general, and then it wasn't actually what council was looking at. So just giving you this really open opportunity to ask very early, so that we have some time to mull it over. And then the next step idea is that in September, well, actually before then, I would repeat back to you what you said, and then we'll look at what we try to make the case or agree with, so to speak, as staff recommendations in the FY28 process. Give you some more explanation in September about the things that we would or would not recommend, and then have that be like the actual narrowing down opportunity. So I feel like this is a very useful list, and I don't feel the need for staff to like jump in and comment right now. Like that, this is the whole point, is to give us some more thoughtful time. But if there is something that anyone wants to comment on that feels particularly like, oh, I want to make sure council understands this, feel free to speak up.
And while you're thinking, I do just also, Justin, if you, I know you're technically full staffed, but if you see that need for that additional police officer, that would be something I'd like to hear about when the time comes. Because I know that even full staff isn't necessarily where the end goal is for the department in the next, 5 years or whatever. I didn't list that, but I think that would be important for us to know when you're doing your presentations. Cool. That was very fast.
We're all prepared.
So some other things that come to mind of, I think we're also coming from a place of things that have been on our mind for a while that we would love to see. I think something that also strikes me as things that are helpful for planning are cost escalations. We have no idea when oil prices may settle out, if they will continue to rise, if they will reach a point and then stay that way, decrease. That will all have really significant impacts on projects, on cost of living, for everyone, not just city budgets. So I would also just say that we need to be really conscientious of that, and to keep a very close eye on it, as I know our staff really will. And I have confidence that, it's, hopefully we're able to get back to seeing funding come towards the city, and a continuation of years and years of funding support that we've had. And I just, it's good to also prepare for things that we hope won't continue or won't ever present themselves. But I just think that should always kind of be in our head as far as planning for the next few years too.
Yeah, I think of like the horizontal bar chart that we've presented that shows what the major cost drivers are. I'm curious how much gas is going to be a percentage of that this time. It's like a baseline. This is nothing we can do anything about.
Yep.
And how does that affect affordability in terms of other things that we might want to do, but maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah, and I think that was it last May that Mayor Lott and the team presented on like external factors that influence.
Right.
I thought that was a really helpful conversation of like, here's what's within our sphere of influence, and here's are things that we more or less have to prepare for or react to. It's always nice to come from a place of being prepared when we can.
That's a good point, Brent. Thank you. As you talked about that, it made me think of that graph, John, that we show like every budget season of like $30 million or something and like sewer work that needs to be done across the city. And I always kind of think about how we can be best preparing ourselves for that work. I know that it's not always advised to raise tax money to not be spent, just to be put in an account somewhere.
We also shouldn't do that for sewer work. Sewer's an enterprise fund.
Yeah.
It should be paid for with sewer.
But I do wonder how we can try to be planning to
It's
have
mostly
the funds
rates,
for
I think.
that.
Isn't it mostly rates, unless we can get a grant?
Yeah, I mean, for enterprise funds, we will have a better understanding of the water main master plan, because that will include the most updated costs and prioritize. And then that sort of gets built into the capital project for water. We will have that for the stormwater piping, because we just finished the investigation work. So the intent there would be to have prioritization in the capital plan for stormwater. And then sanitary kind of follows along with the water main work as well, because that's usually, water main is usually a priority, a pressurized system. And then, so yeah, I mean, we can get more maybe long-term, I would say, with the utility infrastructure, and that will actually plan to like work with Robbie and the planning, housing, development side too.
One thing I do want to flag for council in preparation for the FY28 budgeting cycle is this year in the FY27, we did utilize a pretty significant amount of reserves in the capital plan. In order to even level fund capital plan, we will need to be increasing by over $200,000 just for the existing capital.
Okay. Good to know. Any other thoughts from staff or council?
One last thing that has come up a couple times from the community is what can we do about vacant properties? And being more aggressive. And I will admit that I have asked, and in this moment I'm forgetting all of the answers, but that you've already shared with me. But it's, you know, it comes up at town meeting day a ton. It came up in Green Up Day. I think anytime where,
People are out and about.
yeah, folks are like, what can we do about these vacant parcels? You know, and I walk around the city, you know, just as walk and drive around the city, and you just can't help but being like, oh, there's nothing there still. Oh, well, that one's still standing. I wonder when that'll come down, kind of thing. So if there's anything that we might be able to do in 27 or 28 to help move that along, just in the realm of being more aggressive on housing conversations. I don't know what is feasible, but I just wanted to raise that up.
Yeah, I don't think there would be a fiscal component, but Angela, Revy, and I actually literally met today about this. Angela can explain like the tax mechanism that has not necessarily been being applied as it should, which is kind of the fiscal disincentivization of that. But I think there's also further down the road, ideally like a programmatic or procedural element of that as well that looks a little bit more like, you know, required check-ins or information that's given. But we discussed we need to do a little bit more sussing out of like the definitions that we will have for like vacant, because vacant's different from abandoned, which is different from like non-habitable. So we just need to look at kind of all the different ordinances, the charters, the definitions, and see what is feasible and legally allowable. But that's definitely something that we're, you know, moving forward on.
Okay.
Hopefully, but Angela can explain that.
It is in the FY27 operational work plan document under housing.
Sure. So our existing charter has a provision that allows for properties that are not used for residential or open space or farmland or park space to be taxed at 120% of their assessed valuation. So that generally applies to commercial properties, but also applies to vacant land that is just being held for development. We were having the conversation today around a property that still technically has a foundation hole on it and whether or not that qualified as vacant under the definitions, and if the 20% should be applied there. We believe that it does, so we will be adding that 20% there. And we will be applying that for any land that is just being held for development, has no actual structures built on it. So we're developing that as we go. It's in charter, but there's no actual like procedure documenting it, and we're gonna be working on developing that as well so that it can be implemented into the future.
Yeah, there's a little bit of gray area too with like some parcels that have like a permit and they're technically, you know, under construction because they have done one thing, but there's been no progress in months and months and months. So I think sussing out like what the definitions for all of these things are and what the procedure will be.
And then technically a property where there is an abandoned house that is on the property that is uninhabitable, and somebody cannot live there, you cannot move in, it will need to be demolished, currently still meets the definition of a residential property, and we cannot, under the definition that's in the charter.
So that would need a charter change.
Potentially. We'll take a look at it closer and maybe check in with our attorneys to see if there's ways that we could interpret it.
Okay.
But based on our read, there's a structure located there that was meant for a residence.
Okay.
Yeah, there's kind of, you know, on one end, there's parcels that are, you know, not being developed for cost reasons or just because there was an advantageous land purchase at the time, what have you. And then on the other end, there's kind of more of like generally people who pass away and then there's no immediate family or there's legal issues with who is going to be taking care of the home. And those run into more of like the abandoned or non-habitable. Yeah. But those are hard as well because I think frequently they're not paying taxes anyways.
And those may be something where we start to look at our delinquent tax process that we have. We have only done one delinquent tax sale in my tenure at the city of Winooski. And you know, we did have a pretty successful turnout. We had one property that was redeemed and one property that turned over during that tax sale, but it is a pretty lengthy and complicated process. Once you sell a property at tax sale, the bidder's money is held in an escrow for a 1-year redemption period where the previous owner is allowed to repay the taxes that they owed to reacquire their deed. So it's not right off. Even if we were to sell something at tax sale, it would be still vacant for likely a year. The new owner is allowed to develop it, but they generally don't because if they make any investments and it gets redeemed, they lose their investments.
That makes sense.
Generally, they say for tax sales, don't do anything for 24 months. Is the general rule.
24 months.
That makes sense. Well, okay.
So the, for the general public's information, we realize that some of these properties, they're very impactful visually because they're on our corridors. Those are the most obvious ones. And of course, there's some momentum to try and do something. However, it is actually a very small number of total that are abandoned or vacant or uninhabitable. So just keep that in mind if you're feeling angsty about it. It's understandable, but also we haven't like jumped right on it because the opportunity is actually not necessarily enormous.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question, but I think I forgot it. There it is. I have to put stars next to things, otherwise I will miss it. And I just remembered that I put stars next to my question. So how soon might we know if a charter change is needed?
We literally met today.
I just scheduled a meeting for like July or June 9th.
Okay, so let me ask the question behind the question. What would be needed if a charter change is, it's a term that we need that.
Yeah.
What would the public notice and comment period be needed? And could we do that with enough time to get it on the March town meeting day ballot?
till March, yeah.
Yeah, March definitely, if we needed to.
I mean,
But I think it's really around if we wanted to apply the 120% to those abandoned properties.
Yeah.
And then you're just increasing the tax bill that's not currently being
Yeah, we need
paid
to figure out if that's
and
worth it or
increasing the
not.
amount you'd have to sell it at tax sale in order to redeem. So it's kind of a catch-22 chicken and egg thing. Like, yes, you want to disincentivize somebody from
Yeah.
abandoning their home, but if
Right.
they're not paying their taxes anyway, it doesn't meet the current definition, so this would be a change to the existing
How many-
policy.
How
Do
long
you know how
does-
many there are that meet that?
At least
It was like,
2 that I know of.
That feels like a lot to go through for 2 properties.
yeah, I think most people's concerns are, you know, the
The
ones on
vacant
our
ones.
corridors, the large, you know,
Which are actually vacant land.
yes,
Right.
that meets
How-
the definition.
How long does a property have to be delinquent on taxes before the city can take
You
action?
can sell any property at tax sale if it has gone delinquent. So this year, if somebody does not pay their May 15th installment, they are technically considered delinquent, and you could start the tax sale process. It is not recommended. We don't.
There's a reason why Angela's only been through one in 22 years.
So
Or 20 years.
we generally work with residents, particularly those that are still here and working with us. I have people who have delinquent taxes back to at least '05.
Yeah,
But they are making payments and they are
Oh,
making
okay.
progress. Their delinquency actually originally, when I started working in them, dated back to 2003. So we have really caught them up to where they are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. Their repayment period is supposed to end in the next 2 years. We have at least 3 other accounts on payment plans that are active for delinquent property taxes. There are a handful that we're monitoring where their balances are getting a little hefty, where they
Yeah.
might be something that we consider taking to tax sale, but we are pursuing other alternatives,
Yeah.
Including probate for one.
okay.
Yeah, and again, this is a small number, that's why I have not had any inclination to go to a tax sale. Also, some of these, it's like, I don't know that we need to put someone through that, especially
Yeah.
given that our overall delinquency rate is really manageable.
Generally, we don't pursue unless there's a couple of years at least for tax sale to make it
Yeah.
something that's,
I think I would be more worried about just the ones that are straight up abandoned.
Right, yeah.
Like, at what point do we decide to move those? And maybe that's more a policy document as opposed to a full charter change.
Yeah.
that would be
Again,
important.
there's like 2 of those, and one of them is the probate matter, which
We're
it would
making
be very
progress.
awkward for the city to do that, because we would have to appoint someone and manage someone to go through the probate process.
Yeah,
So we're trying to encourage a relative to go through that.
yeah.
May I ask a question?
Sometimes the lenders are reaching out and they might do something, so. We had one on River Street that the bank was advertising for foreclosure, so
Oh,
it's another alternative.
yeah.
Right, when there's an owner, because
Yes.
then in that case, the bank's the owner. But
Right.
for one of these, there's like
There's
technically no owner.
technically no
Yeah.
owner, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The question that I have is regarding abandoned houses and just the idea of like, if it goes to tax sale, that's obviously then more time and labor on the staff in this room. But then I also think if there's an abandoned house, is it potentially time and labor on staff outside of this room? In the sense of public safety, in the sense of transient populations or
Yeah.
people living rough or folks experiencing homelessness. I love youth, I have youth in my life, but like, are there young kids who don't have a third space and like wanna go hang out in there? And so I'm also just sort of thinking about that, and I just wanna name that. I have no data to back this up, but I just, I'm just also naming that, like.
Yeah, there's I would say a couple like that, and Justin and John Audie are well aware of those and monitor those, and if there starts to be activity, then
Yeah.
they do something about it. Again, it's not that many
Right.
properties, but we definitely keep an eye on them because it can be a safety hazard for everyone.
Yeah. I live right next to an abandoned,
Mm.
or an empty lot, a vacant lot, so I'm just like,
And I hear stories about the property on River Street from other folks that I know that live in the area and just like literally closing the door because it's been like open and, you know,
Wow.
strays are
Yeah.
getting in there, like, things aren't boarded up necessarily. And I think, well, I want to second Councilor Chirkos's comment, and that while in the grand scheme of things, the numbers are not high, it only takes one property to bring down the grand list value, the sale value of the property next to it, or the property across the street from it. And that affects the grand list, and interest of the community of attracting folks that want to live here too.
Yeah, it's rare that anyone says something to me where I think that's a bad idea or not worth doing. It's really about capacity, because obviously that's a concern. That should be a concern, but yeah, it's a matter of like, how do we prioritize? And I'll also mention, like, if there's a situation like that where there's a door open, then definitely call City Hall, so that if we haven't seen it yet, then we're sending someone else to make sure that happens.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Elaine, anything else you want?
Yeah, I realized after the last agenda item, I forgot to open it up to Angela and Jenny and Paul, who, on the FY26 and FY27 commentary, to which they provide a lot of support. So if I could just go back to that.
Sure.
Anything you wanted to add, Angela? Jenny?
I'm pretty sure I was chiming in right along there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all set, thanks.
Paul?
Yeah, I'll just speak very quickly to Winooski, the road to Winooski Ridge project, and all of the sort of concerns around this support. Elaine and I are very heavily advocating for that, using the Winooski Mosaic template, sort of that model. So we've been in very active conversations with V-Trans and the bridge team, and just to sort of let you know that at least I've been very aggressive about advocating for that.
Appropriately aggressive.
Appropriately, yeah. So we definitely hear you there. It's not lost on us. We're trying to make progress there.
Paul, thank you. Thank you also for managing the Zoom, sitting all alone while we're all.
I know, we're all in here.
Thanks, Elaine, for making sure they got to share.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, in that case, you need a vote, yes.
Actually, I guess, only if you feel like you have a full view of what everyone said and are comfortable moving the whole thing for staff to consider. That's be the only thing. Otherwise, I can put it down on paper and then share that out as a draft, and then you can approve it at the next council meeting.
Sure, let's do that. Does that sound good?
Works for me.
Okay, let's do that. All right, well, time is 8:38. I will seek a motion to adjourn this Winooski City Council retreat.
So moved.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody.
Made up for.